Stress and anxiety are two things that a lot of people deal with. And in this video, I hope to kind of give you guys a newer definition or angle of understanding of it, so that if you are dealing with a lot of stress or high anxiety, you can look at it in this new angle if you haven't already. And by doing so, understand it better and understand how it's affecting you, and then hopefully dealing with it in a healthy way. So, at the root of each one, it's a fear of something or the lack of something. With anxiety, it's just a fear of a future that doesn't even exist. And once you can realize this, is that you're imagining futures and playing out scenarios in your head about things that have not existed and will most likely not exist, you begin to realize that all these plays you're doing in your head don't amount to reality. So that spending the bandwidth on those thoughts and on that stress only hurts you instead of helping you. So instead, when you catch yourself thinking about a future possibility or thinking about something that you need to do that's in the future, tell yourself that it's okay. And as corny as that sounds, there's a science behind how you speak to yourself and how you pump yourself up about things. So if in your head you're playing about how all the things that can go wrong, start playing about, okay, if it goes wrong, what's the worst thing that can happen? Or start playing about how things can go right, so that you're not emphasizing the spiral down, but instead you're understanding that that's your thought process and that's your imagination that's taking you there, and understand that's part of you. So instead of trying to reject it and staying and keep fearing it, embrace it and move past it, because you will almost always realize that if you look back, the anxious thoughts you had about a future that's now the past did not become reality, and oftentimes reality is much better. Sometimes that's not the outcome, but in most cases, reality is better than what your imagination or your thoughts convinced you would happen. Now, in terms of stress is less so a fear of what's occurring, but more so the lack, like a composite of lack of power and control and inaction. So if you have a deadline that's coming up and you're not doing something, like you're not taking action towards it, or you don't have the time or the power to do so, that is where stress begins to play a role. If you've noticed, when you start taking action, stress kind of dissipates, and that's because stress, I don't know if fear is the right word, but it's the fear of not taking action and not having the power to take action. So, shorter video today, but just two new angles of understanding what stress and anxiety are, and by understanding those angles and by looking at it in a different way, you can kind of maneuver yourself and use them as a weapon instead of a weakness. So if you're ever feeling anxious or stressed, just remember those are natural emotions, and don't try to push it out, but instead understand why you're thinking that, and do what's in your power to be your best self, and understand that anything outside of that, worrying about it, will just make it worse. So it's okay. Everybody gets stressed. Everybody gets anxious. The whole world isn't falling apart. That's all I got for today. If you found this valuable, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.